we would always meet in a home and we would have a meeting to open Sabbath.
Ir penktadieniais vakare mes turėtume susitikimą namuose ar sutikti Sabbatą.
And these were just for youth.
Ir tai buvo tik tai jaunimui.
And often I would go and drive around and pick up kids who hadn't got a car and bring them, hadn't got a transport and bring them to the meeting.
Ir kartais važiuodavau mes namus, susirinkdavau vaikus ir atveždavau juos į susirinkimo vietą.
And then on Sunday, we would do some sport, or we would do some hiking, or something else that was going on.
O sekmadieniais mes turėtume tam tikrą sporto veiklą arba dviračių pasivažinėjimą.
We need to make sure there's more happening than just on Sunday.
Taigi mums reikėtų užtikrinti, kad kažkas daugiau vyksta savaitės ir neįvyktis.
All right, there was one more church, wasn't there? And I forgot the name now. That's the one. Guys, what's happening in the church beginning with P?
Taigi Panevėžys. Kas vyksta savaitės ir
Now, some opportunities coming. Okay, I'm not wanting to embarrass anybody, but I'm just trying to make the point. We need nurture. Young people need to be involved in the church. Okay, then we need to make sure there is worship that takes place. Now, worship, of course, takes place every Sunday. Praying, singing, reading the Bible, worship always takes place. I like to see there can be times when there are youth days where young people can be involved. When have you had a youth church completely at all? Any have a youth church? Or do you all meet together? There used to be quite a movement to have separate youth churches on occasions. But the current thinking is very much to have intergenerational worship, all generations together. So you have family services. In my own church, which is quite big, they have one main service, and in one of the church halls, they do have a youth service. But they don't call it a youth service, it's called a parallel service because it's for everybody. But they make sure that at least once a month the whole church meets together. Because I actually believe it's very important that the church does have opportunity to meet all together. Okay, then you come to mission or outreach. Now I used to think outreach or mission was something that we did. I used to think it's when we went with a leaflet and we stood outside and someone was passing by and we gave them a leaflet. That was and of course that is a part of mission. But I've come to the conclusion that witness or outreach or mission is actually part of who we are.
Bet faktiškai aš darau išvadą, kad misijos darbas tai yra dalis to misijos darbo, tai yra tai, kas aš esu.
It's how people see us every day.
Yra taip, kaip žmonės mus mato kiekvieną dieną.
Again, I learned a lesson when I was young.
Išmokau pamoką, kai buvau jaunas.
I used to play a lot of football when I was younger and fitter.
Kai buvau jaunesnis ir stipresnis, daug futbolo žaidžiau.
And one day we were playing a match.
Vieną kartą pas mus buvo rungtynės.
And one of my teammates was fouled, got kicked, he was lying on the ground.
Vienas iš mano komandos draugų matomai buvo numuštas ir turėjo žolelės.
And one of my friends who was playing, he came up and he was really upset and he started swearing.
Ir vienas iš mano, your friends,
Yeah.
vienas iš mano draugų buvo labai supyko ir jis pradėjo keiktis.
And then he stopped.
Ir jis sustojo.
And he said, I'm sorry, you don't swear, do you?
Ir tada jisai sustojo, sako, atsiprašau, nesikeikit, tiesa.
I hadn't said a word.
Aš nei žodžio nebuvau pasakęs.
I was just standing there.
Aš tiesiog ten stovėjau.
But he realized that I didn't go around the pitch swearing at people. It was just not something I did
Bet jis pastebėjo, kad aš nesikeikiu
because of my lifestyle.
dėl mano gyvenimo būdo.
And so he recognized that my life was a witness whether I said something or not.
Ir jisai suvokė, kad mano gyvenimas buvo liudijimas, nepriklausomai ar aš ką kalbu ar ne.
Now, with outreach, what sort of things can we do?
Taigi, mūsų evangelizacijos skelbime, ką mes galime daryti?
Have any been involved in, down here we've got health outreach.
Kas nors buvo įsitraukęs tada į sveikatos liudijimą, evangelizaciją?
Have any had the opportunity of being involved in health expos or something similar?
Ar kas nors dalyvavo sveikatos expo ar ko nors kitur?
Like that, or maybe yeah. Right, I know Virginians have a plan for something. They just want to show you. And we're just waiting to see if we get the funding for it to come through. But there will be an opportunity hopefully in the name of the town. Yep, and then that church in the name of the big. That's the one. Alright, how about, have you ever been out doing street witnessing with surveys? Yeah, some. I think it's something we need to get back involved in. Opportunities to share our faith with others. That's why I shared yesterday with the group that were here how to tell your story.
Štai kodėl su grupe, kuri buvo čia vakar, aš dalinausi, kaip papasakoti savo istoriją.
And we practiced telling our stories to each other, do you remember?
Ir mes praktikavomės, kad mes pasakom vienas kitam savo
And I'm really hoping and praying you will find an opportunity to use that.
Ir aš iš tikrųjų viliuosi ir kviečiu, kad jūs rastumėt galimybę tai.
Let's do a quick review.
Trumpai prisiminkime.
What was the Bible text it was from?
Koks buvo Biblijos tekstas?
Acts 26. And what was the first section of your story?
Before.
Yeah, before you met Jesus. What my life was like before I met Jesus. Right, what was the second section? Meeting, how I met Christ. Excellent. And then the third section? After I met Christ, how my life has changed. It's easy to remember. It is so effective. And I told you there was something important at the end. Question. You put a question to somebody to give them a chance to respond. Okay, I hope we have the opportunities to work more on sharing our faith. Used to be that we had sometimes a youth outreach program where young people would do the preaching as well. Now, do you know what this year is for the world church? What is the emphasis this where they're trying to make outreach happen in the big cities around the world.
Pasaulinė bažnyčia programa, kurioje matoma, kad pasiekti didžiosius miestus.
It started in New York,
prasidėjo New York'e,
and then each of the divisions of the church had to choose somewhere. So we had a program in London.
Kiekviena divizija pasirinkdavo savo teritorinį miestą.
And now it's come to the point where each of the unions, so the Baltic Union, will have chosen a city.
Ir tada vėliau bus kiekviena unija, Baltijos unija.
And I have a feeling it might be Tallinn in Estonia. Is that right?
Baltijos unija Tallinas.
Right, and I think there is something going to be happening in Tallinn very shortly.
Ir aš suprantu, kad gana greitai vyks programa, ta prasme, veikla Talline.
Virginia, do you know what it is? It's just after the right. And so there will be groups of people going to Tallinn. Right. Then each conference chooses its own city. So my guess is that you have chosen a city for the Lithuanian conference. Am I right? So that will be happening. You'll be choosing. Okay, so there will be a city chosen for Latvia. And then there will be a city chosen in Lithuania. And that may happen later this year or next year. And we would want young people to have the opportunity to be involved. Now, I don't know where it's going to be chosen. But I can see easily it could be either Kaunas or Vilnius or Klaipėda. I can see that we've got the groups here. And so it would be a wonderful thing if we can have youth involvement, young people joining together with their mums and dads and their adult members and really being able to do something. Is there anyone from here going to Tallinn? Okay, Carolina, you're going to Tallinn. Very good. Yes? Right, you will come back with ideas because you will see things, you'll be involved. And then you have the idea of being able to come back and say, okay, now that we do something in Lithuania, we can, that worked, that didn't work, or we can do this. But each church, irrespective of that, can make its own goals. Now let me encourage you by telling you that it is being shown today that there is a renewal of interest in spirituality among young people. We often think that young people are not interested in Christianity or spirituality. It's not true, they are. This was reported in a national magazine quite recently. Not far from here, we have churches in Denmark and Norway that are Seventh-day Adventist churches. And in Denmark, for the first time in many years, in 2011, the church grew rather than shrunk.
jaunimo krikštų.
And the youth leader, his name is Thomas Westerson, has become very involved in leading the young people in Bible study, leading to baptism.
Ir jaunimo vadovas Tomas Rasmussen, jisai daug padėjo jaunimui Biblijos studijose.
And so we've seen in Northern Europe it is possible. Young people are interested.
Ir net ir Šiaurės Europoje matome, kad jauni žmonės susidomina.
In Norway, they have targeted the 9th grade, and this is people aged 13 or 14.
Norvegijoje jie galvoja apie jaunimą turinčius 14 metų.
The churches in Norway have a week where they take children out of school for confirmation classes in the state church.
Ir Norvegijoje matome yra savaitė, kažkokia tai pamokymų, kurios metu vaikams suteikiamas tokios, confirmation, kurios patvirtinti, sutvirtinimo tokios klasės valstybės bažnyčiose.
And so the Adventist Church has formed a program called Absolute 9 or Absolute Nina, where they are bringing their young people out of school for this week, where they don't have confirmation, but they have faith developing programs going on.
O Adventistų bažnyčia sukūrė programą, kurie pasiima savo vaikus, jie turi tikėjimo sutvirtinimo, bet turi savo programą padėti vaikams suprasti savo tikėjimą.
And I see a growth in many programs called impact outreach programs, where people go for a week or two to a city and they do outreach on the streets.
Ir taip pat matome daug evangelizacijos programų, kurios jaunimas į gatvės eidami liudija.
Anyone had the opportunity of doing something like an impact program?
Kas nors iš čia esančių dalyvavo tokia programa, sakysim, gatvė liudyti?
Yeah, okay. But again, it's something that we are planning to have here in Lithuania.
Tai mes norime taip pat ten.
All right, a challenge.
Iššūkis.
What can we do in Lithuania?
Ką mes galime padaryti Lietuvoje?
I've heard it said that our young people need 3 things in their life.
Girdėjau sakant, kad jauniems žmonėms reikia 3 dalykų gyvenime.
To be strong in the church, young people must be able to articulate, explain, or know their beliefs.
Tam, kad jie tvirtai būtų bažnyčioje, jauni žmonės turi gebėti paaiškinti savo įsitikinimus.
They must have friends within the congregation, number 2.
Antra, jiems reikia, jie turi draugų bendruomenėje.
And they must be involved in a personally meaningful ministry.
Ir trečia, jie turi būti įtraukti į asmeniškai prasmingą tarnystę.
Now looking at that, let's take them off. Do you feel you're able to, you know why you're a Seventh-day Adventist?
Dabar pabandykime pasiklausti.
What do you believe?
Jūs jaučiatės, kad galite paaiškinti, kodėl jūs esate adventistai?
I think most of you here would say yes, I know that.
Aš manau, didesnė dauguma iš jūsų pasakys, taip, aš žinau.
Do you have friends within your local congregation?
Ar turite draugus savo vietinėje bendruomenėje?
Now, it's nice to see you come as groups here, so obviously we have a group of people.
Nuostabu, kad jūs esate čia grupėse iš bendruomenių, iš yra grupės.
But how about this one?
O kaip apie trečią?
They must be involved in a personally meaningful ministry.
Tai jie turėtume turėti tarnystę, asmenišką tarnystę prasmingą.
My local church has made it an undertaking this year.
Iš mano vietinė bendruomenė šiais metais.
Everybody who joins the church
Kiekvienas, kuris prisijungia prie bažnyčios,
must choose to be involved in a ministry.
Turi pasirinkti, privalo pasirinkti, kokioj tarnystėje bus įsitraukti.
And they have many things going on.
Ir ten vairiausių tarnysčių programų vyksta.
From feeding the homeless,
Pradedant tuo, kad maitina
to a program for children called Messy Church,
vaikams programą, kuri vykdo bažnytėlę,
for helping the community for people who haven't got furniture or things like that.
padėti visuomeniai, žmonėms,
They have they know it's important that members must be active and not just sitting on pews.
Jie žino, kad yra svarbu, kad nariai būtų aktyvūs, o ne tiesiog sėdėtų.
So when you do a local church, are there different, do you understand the word ministries, outreach opportunities that people can get involved in?
Tai kai grįžti į savo bendruomenės, paklausti yra pakankamai galimybių žmonėms įsitraukti tarnystę.
Pathfinders is certainly one.
Viena iš tokių tikrai yra pėdsekiai.
And I was involved in their Pathfinder investiture just last summer.
Ir praeitą savaitę aš buvau įsitraukęs praeitą savaitę.
Alright, so we need to know what we believe.
Taigi mums reikia žinoti, kuo mes tikime.
Alright, we need to have fellowship, friends.
Labai svarbu turėti draugų, bendravimą.
And then we believe to be involved on God's pitch.
Ir todėl labai svarbu, kad mes būtume įtraukti Dievo darbe.
Alright, now a question.
Klausimas.
I don't know if you ever heard of something called a SWOT analysis.
Kaunas neapgalvėti apie SWOT analysis.
It works in English. S for SWOT stands for strength.
Tai yra dėlės angliškai yra strengths, tai stiprybės.
W stands for weakness.
Silpnybės.
O stands for opportunities.
O galimybės.
T stands for threats.
Threats, pavojus.
Okay, if you were to do a SWOT analysis of the churches in Lithuania, what do we have that we can identify?
Taigi, jeigu padarytume tokią SWOT analizę Lietuvoje, tai kuo mes galėtume ką galėtume suvokti?
What strengths do we have?
Kokius stipresnės pusės mes turime?
Alright, normally it will be whether our people,
Paprastai žmonės,
organized churches.
organizuotos bendruomenės.
Tell me what's the membership in Lithuania?
Sorry?
What's the membership?
It is dedicated nice girl, she knows.
Žmonės, kurie
No, what's the membership?
jo narystė, kiek yra pasikrikštysių narių, yra 880.
880. 888, I feel. 800 over.
Pagal sąrašą, bet jeigu...
And how many churches do we have?
Kiek bendruomenių mes turime?
15. So we have got 800 members plus children.
Taigi yra 800 narių plus vaikų.
We have got 15 churches.
Turime 15 bendruomenės.
And I know we've got at least 4 good youth groups because you're here.
Ir aš žinau, kad mažiausiai 4 jaunimo grupės, nes jūs čia esate yra.
So that's the strength that we start with.
Taigi čia yra ta stiprioji pusė.
Alright, then what's our weakness?
Kokia silpnoji pusė?
Well, probably you would say 800 is not many.
Galbūt jūs pasakysite, bet 800 nedaug.
And I do believe that the church probably struggles because some of the members have moved abroad, if I'm right.
Galbūt bendruomenės kenčia, nes dalis narių išvyko į užsienį.
So one of the struggles is that people constantly move, particularly amongst the EU.
Taigi viena iš problemų yra tai, kad žmonės pastoviai juda, ypatingai Europos Sąjungoje.
Alright, now you probably know people who've gone abroad, and it's great, and they're doing, hopefully, earning well. For the church in Lithuania, it's a struggle.
Galbūt jie gerai uždirba, bet dėja bažnyčiai Lietuvoje tai yra iššūkis.
Alright, when we get down, what opportunities do we have?
Kokias galimybės mes turime?
Now,
I want to speak about weaknesses.
yes, go on.
Noriu pasakyti, kad džiaugiuosi, kad yra jaunimas ir norėčiau, kad žinotumėt, kokia reali situacija Lietuvoje. Šiuo metu yra su bažnyčia, su narystė, tai popieriai yra 880, bet vidutiniškai pernai buvo išmestas rodiklis, kiek sabatose lankosi žmonių. Tai skaičiuojant ir vaikus, ir draugus, tai tarkim 400 kažkur tik tai. Tai ir visą Lietuvą.
So that's the
Ne,
weakness.
tai yra iš viso žmonių, iš viso. Todėl aš noriu atverti akis ir noriu pasakyti, kad jūs vieninteliai esate ta mūsų viltis. Ir aš noriu, kad jūs žinotumėt, kur mes esame ir kaip mes gyvenam. Nes gal tada jums uždegs širdis ir gal tokį norą ar kažkokį paskatinimą būti, kaip sako Polas, tame lauke, bet ne ant suoliuko ar kažkur, bet tame darbo lauke. Nes tik kažkur 400 žmonių per visą Lietuvą lankosi pamaldose.
Yeah, good speech, Judita. Thank you. So we have 800, but this is, in many churches, the number active is less.
Paprastai aktyvių žmonių daugelį bendruomenių yra mažesnis skaičius.
Now you're obviously the active one.
Jūs, aišku,